Hello and welcome to Behind the Scenes, Make End Users Happy with Seamless IT. Today's webinar is sponsored by Automox and produced by SmartBrief. My name is Scott Becker. I'm from SmartBrief and I'm excited to be your moderator for this special event. Now, before we get to today's great content, we do have a few housekeeping items that will help you get the most out of this session. First off, we want this to be an informative event for you, so we encourage any questions in the questions box in your webinar control panel. Not only will we have team members responding to questions during the live event, but we'll also have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the presentation where we'll discuss in greater detail some of the top questions that you ask. That Q&A panel is also the place to let us know about any technical issues that you might be experiencing. A browser refresh will fix most audio, video, or slide advancement issues. But if that doesn't work, just let us know in the Q&A and we'll provide further technical assistance. Now, second, in the handout section of your webinar control panel, you'll find that we're offering several resources. I'd especially like to call your attention to a PDF version of a research report on the 2024 state of IT operations. That's about the journey to IT ops agility. Then there's a PDF of case studies on mastering IT efficiency and also a blog about Automox worklets. So that's written in a 101 style if you haven't tried them before. So I encourage you to access those resources now and share them with your friends and colleagues. Now, third, at the end of this webinar event, we will be awarding a $250 Amazon gift card to one lucky registrant. Of course, you must be in attendance during the live event to qualify for that prize. Official terms and conditions of today's prize drawing can be found in your handout section. Just scroll to the bottom and you'll find the link with the details there. And with that, let's get to today's fantastic session. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to our presenter today. We have David Van Heerden, who's Technical Product Marketing Manager at Automox. And so now I'm going to turn things over to David.
Thank you so much, and appreciate y'all hanging out with me today. Yeah, and like it says in the title, we're going to be talking about this idea of seamless IT, making users happy with it, and that main highlight of being behind the scenes. So just an overview of the agenda. I'm going to walk you through the concept of seamless IT and really what we're trying to talk about today, what the pillars are that support it, and how we can accomplish that. And then I'm sure those of you that are here clicked on it because it's Automox and you want to see what we're all about. So I've got a live demo set up with our console and a VM here. I hope it behaves because that's always the fun of live demos. And then I love things being conversational, so please use the Q&A. I love to address those specific questions. I'll skip so much all the text blurb here, but just a little bit of an update on my side of things. I've been in IT for just over 10 years now, actually. And from that, it was at a primarily single company for 8 of those years. But that company had me bouncing across a whole wide range of industries. We were in capital management, construction, software development, hospitality, entertainment. We had our fingers dipped in everything. And I was just the tech guy that they threw at anything that had a screen or plugged into the wall. So I worked with a lot of amazing people who taught me a lot of things. And so I got really good at asking dumb questions and retaining that knowledge and wisdom from people much smarter than me. And as I joined Automox as a tech company that was focused on helping IT people, that was really my main draw, was to join a company that was here to service the IT folks that I had met and learned from. And since doing that, I was very loud as the IT manager here, telling them, hey, this product needs to do this for IT people, needs to do that for IT people. And so because I was just so chatty about it, they decided to make me that weird title of product evangelist, which wasn't something I really expected to get, but here we are. So talking through that concept of seamless IT really centers around this quote, right? When IT works well, it is easily forgotten. I think a lot of us are familiar with this. One of my favorite examples of it currently is how we all experience services like Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, or even just browsing the internet, where if those websites have those loading animations on them, we're almost immediately clicking out. Our market currently, our user base, our customers that we have to engage with, that our businesses are hungry to service, they have such a low tolerance for things being just slow, let alone unavailable. And that level of tolerance kind of leaves us in that realm of, if everything's working and it's working fast and it's lightning fast because it's been optimized incredibly well, that's what everyone just expects now. It goes unnoticed. It goes completely forgotten. And then they come kicking, screaming, the sky is falling when there's a DNS configuration error or a routing error, in some core infrastructure that takes down Facebook, right? We're still kind of caught in that bubble from, I think, 20 plus years ago of, and I think that's what inspired this comic here of, nothing's working. What am I paying you guys for? Everything's terrible, right? There's all these issues which create the demand for IT, right? And then once everything is totally smooth and operating, they wonder, what the heck am I paying these highly skilled, highly trained, expensive engineers for, right? And that's kind of where, when it comes to this concept, it can feel like that catch-22 that we all get trapped in, where we're the quiet ones behind the curtains, getting things done behind the scenes, and nobody really pays attention to us until things go wrong and until things break. And what I've found over the years, which I think is sort of why this evangelist role came quite naturally to me, was that one important step is IT people becoming people. The famous line from the movie Office Space, "I'm a people person," right? Is understanding our role in the business now has evolved, from 20 years ago, even though there's still those incredible expectations on IT to always be smooth, for the services that we offer to always be available and always be online. There's this additional demand on us to enable the business with technology in ways that are novel and new, and not just that baseline standard. An example of that is how LLMs really took the world by storm in the last year and a half, 2 years. But machine learning is nothing new. ML tech has been around for a long time, and there's been engineers working on it for over a decade. But as soon as that consumer market got to experience the power of machine learning in a way that they could interact with, now everybody wanted it. And I think a lot of IT teams, security teams as well, just tech leaders in general, were ill-prepared within their organizations to adopt this new technology and bring it in, because we're still underwater and still buried, just trying to keep things smooth, trying to keep those services running smoothly. And so that's why things like our product here at Automox, and why I'm so passionate about it, like, that's what we're here to do, is to enable you to provide that seamless IT, enable you to deliver those smooth services, those repetitive tasks that now become fully automated and, I don't want to say thoughtless, but where you kind of set and forget, it's going to be done. You have the confidence that it's going to be done right as well, per your desired configuration. And us providing that to you then allows you to focus on enabling the business to adopt these new technologies in a responsible way. I know one, tagline that we like to use here is that of thoughtful automation, where the automation that we apply has strategic alignment to it, as well as practical implementation, so that it's not just, all right, it's automation for automation's sake. It's thoughtful automation that actually has a big impact at the end of it. So kind of breaking down how you can bring that seamless IT, which a lot of this aligns with our Automox product vision, and what we bring to you, of course, which is there's just that cycle of productivity. The continuous productivity comes from hey, we've implemented a tool, and that tool is getting things done for us so that now we can focus on other things, right? There's the heart inside of the brain, and that what we do makes you feel good. Implementing this product is not a new headache for you to manage and oversee. You don't need to, hire that one person that just handles this new product that rolls out. Every time that new system was implemented, in my background and experience, I then thought, okay, how much work is this going to take out of each day now that I have this new tool in there? And so unlocking that ability for you to be more productive in other areas is a major part. Interruption free updates that goes straight to your customers and to your user base, where things can happen in your environment in the way that you want them to, and it doesn't mess up people's day, and they don't have to blame our tool or you for things happening. Things just happen naturally, right? It becomes a regular part of their day-to-day experience where it's no longer a disruption. It's an expected time where things are going to happen. It's expected what's going to happen. So then it can be planned around, and it's far less ad hoc in how things are dealt. Fast time to resolution, that's a major one. We've all, I'm sure, experienced those fires where you wake up in the morning, you pull out your phone, you got the text messages from your boss or from your colleagues, or the X, formerly known as Twitter, posts coming through on your phone where you're like, great, big vulnerability. Everything I had planned today is now off the rails because I have to focus on this. I can't tell you how spoiled I was as the IT manager at this company, where I just knew that it was going to be patched by the time I clocked in, and our West Coasters fired up their laptops and connected to the internet. They were going to get the update and the patch, and we would be fine. So even if there's those 0 days out there, having that confidence of it's going to get fixed automatically, and I can just print out a report that convinces my boss that it was done. And then any of those, troublesome people that haven't turned on their laptop today, guess we found out who's not working today. And being able to be that proactive and that in front of things is Cloud9, amazing. Which speaks to that proactive and strategic approach to automation and seamless IT. Right, is the automation that you implement has an impact to the organization, and it has that impact because it's future thinking, it's strategic aligned, where, all right, as an organization, we need to be continuously compliant in order to not get fees or fines or GDPR complaints that we can't follow up on because our team's too busy trying to do other things. You don't get caught with your pants down because you've been enabled to look around the corner and solve things before they become problems, or at least tackle that big pile of problems that you have behind you. You can bring that thoughtful automation to bear. The one throat to choke, knowing exactly who your point of contact is to fix things, right? Knowing, hey, we have all this infrastructure everywhere, but we have this single pane of glass. We know via reporting, we know via the details within our environment and the automation around it, exactly where the problem lies. So we know exactly where to go to remove this blocker and get things going. And on the inverse side of, hey, something didn't go as planned, because as much as we love to say that computers do exactly as we tell them, there are those little gremlins that cause them to do things we don't expect. At least on the inverse side, you know exactly where you can go to get it resolved and fixed on the converse side, as opposed to running off to people because you have data and insights to tell you who to point at. And then, all leading up to that anxiety-free troubleshooting. This one I'm going to pause on a little bit and definitely do a humble brag. One thing I like to share and get everyone to think about is this line of separation in automation and how we implement it, where we have, think of it as your service desk and you have your help desk, where user needs something installed on their system. That user doesn't have the admin privileges themselves, so they know they have to go to IT for it. And however they engage with IT, it's a chat, it's a knock on the door, or an email, or a ticket, right? However you've got it set up. There's sort of these two schools of thought when it comes to applying automation to that service delivery. And then, of course, when things break, applying automation to incidents and tickets in that regard, that there's if we automate it, we can then give it to the end users to self-service. So instead of submitting a ticket and then waiting and then we have to go and do the thing, they can just click a button and get it themselves, which is a fantastic approach depending on your organization and the culture that you have. Because one thought that I was given as a feedback as I was implementing self-service tools was, well, now you're putting the responsibility of solving the problem back onto your user, back onto your customer. It's kind of like when you have that issue with your ISP at home and you try to get on the phone to tell someone what's going on or just learn about what's happening. And you're sitting there pressing buttons through a call menu and they're asking you to do a bunch of things that you know isn't going to work, but you just have to go through the checklist of self-service solutions to get it done. By the time you actually get to that person on the phone, you've already wasted 30 minutes doing useless self-servicing. And then you're quite frustrated because you just wasted so much time to get to someone that can actually solve your problem. And so that's not exactly anxiety-free troubleshooting, even though there was great intention behind putting self-service automation out there. You're still putting the onus on the customer to solve their own problem. And that culturally might not be a fit for your org and might be why you find so much friction when you say, there's a button on your desktop or there's an agent that has a menu in there. Just click it, just do it. Why don't our users do this? Well, it's because they have their responsibilities in their world that they live in, and they expect you to seamlessly handle your side of things. So by you turning the script on them and saying, well, we're not going to fix it for you, you need to fix it for yourself using this automation we built, that's kind of changes like that narrative with them, right? Where it's not really a copacetic relationship with you and your end users like that. So the other approach of that anxiety-free troubleshooting is by implementing integrations and automations in a different perspective, where you think about, okay, this is how our users like to engage with us. They want to talk to a human. They don't want to click through a menu and find what their problem is and self-solve with a button. They want interaction, and they want that interaction to be a meaningful interaction. But my team, I can't staff it up and have them sitting there, chatting with people and troubleshooting all day long. So how can I solve for this sort of thing? And that's where you can implement new kinds of automation in integration with your tools that eliminate the entire process overall. And what I mean by that is think of, and this is where my humble brag comes in, and that you have your ticketing system, your ServiceNow, Zendesk, your Freshservice, Freshworks ticketing system. And as that ticket comes in, they're describing what their problem is in that first ticket. They might not be describing it too well, so you need a little bit of that back and forth, right? And LLMs are really great at IT troubleshooting. I don't know if you've tried just running ChatGPT through some of the typical help desk tickets that you get, and you can watch it make some pretty fantastic suggestions. There's some incredible LLM tools that are finely tuned to that of IT help desk that are based off of your knowledge base, based off of the information that you've already got documented. And it can at least suggest to the end users how to get things solved, which is still in that self-service mentality, or conversely, suggest to your IT team, hey, based off of the device details that I have and the context that they provided via this message, I think you should try running this script on it or remoting onto their screen to fix that. And you get to shortcut a lot of those typical troubleshooting routes by having that kind of insight coming in from an AI-enabled tool. And in our example, and one thing that we had built was with our ticketing system, we built it even less intelligent and cool sounding or scary sounding, depending on what side of the fence you are with AI. But we built a solution that said, oh, someone submitted a ticket that had the keywords of laptop, Wi-Fi not working. They just messaged with their phone and, formatted it pretty poorly. But hey, they said the keywords of laptop and Wi-Fi. Well, then we're going to tell Automox to then run the Wi-Fi repair script on their device. And in that example, Wi-Fi is very difficult to troubleshoot remotely. You're on the phone with them, it's working right now, and you either sit on the phone with them for 30 minutes until the Wi-Fi goes out, and then maybe you try to troubleshoot it that way through the phone, or you say, call me when it breaks again, but then that means you're not busy when they call, or you have to drop what you're doing and pick up the phone now because you promised them you would pick it up. But in our case, because of the way that our platform works with our agent, is that our system would tell Automox, hey, they're having a Wi-Fi issue, run the Wi-Fi troubleshooting script. And the Wi-Fi troubleshooting script would check all the Wi-Fi networks, see if it's, the correct ones, right? They didn't just hop into a public Wi-Fi or something, or their neighbor's newly set up, speaker that puts up a temporary Wi-Fi network. No, they're connected to the right Wi-Fi network in their home. All right, disable and re-enable the Wi-Fi adapter, uninstall and reinstall the drivers for it, run through these entire series of troubleshooting steps in a single script. We call those worklets, by the way. If you're ever curious, we have a worklets catalog you can browse through with quite a lot of those troubleshooting type worklets in there. But the reason why that works is because the user submits that ticket saying, hey, I've got a Wi-Fi problem. Our ticketing system says, okay, we're going to run a script that's going to try to fix that for you. Hang tight. As soon as it connects again on Wi-Fi, it'll run. And sure enough, our agent's sitting there waiting. As soon as the internet connection comes back, the console is, our platform is sitting there ready to go and says, all right, run the code, run the repair script while you're still alive. And then, yeah, that worklet will do its thing. And say it runs through and it fixes the issue, great. User's happy, ticket's closed. If it runs through and it doesn't, it'll tell you exactly where it failed and say, hey, I tried this step and I couldn't finish this one. Now it's time for that human interaction to come in. So at that phase, you've been able to provide a proactive kind of troubleshooting where your end users are getting their problem solved in an automated fashion, where in hopefully a majority of those cases, you're troubleshooting things in a seamless way where they engage with you in the way that they're used to. You don't have to ask your end users to change how they interact with you. They still submit the ticket, they send the chat message, but you've changed how you solve their problems in a way that comes across as fast, proactive, knowledgeable, and intelligent, and ultimately thoughtful, right? Saving you and your team's time so you can work on more important things, and your end users because they get their tricky issues solved. So that's my little anecdotal story on that, walking through these components here. And I know I say a lot of cool, flashy things. In my demo, I'll be walking you through some of our worklets here that we can run on a virtual machine that I have. But that example of that ticketing system automation, I encourage you to explore some of our blogs because it is far more technical in how it's all set up. There's a lot of dependencies involved there, but it is one of those kinds of proactive and strategic things that you can build and implement, integrating Automox with your other SaaS products. So let's walk through the roadblocks, the things that are getting in your way of providing that seamless IT. Manual work, I think, is a bit of a no-brainer one to discuss. But what I like to run us down when we talk about manual work is to actually sort of think of, all right, what do we replace manual work with? Well, automation. Cool. We all kind of know that, and we've still been stuck in the automation world for over 20, 30 years trying to figure this automation stuff out. And to kind of walk us through that history a little bit, right? So we're all sort of in the same mindset. When computers were first introduced to the workforce, right, into the masses, it was kind of automation. I argue that it wasn't, in that we had files and folders sitting in cabinets and drawers, right, where you had to take that piece of paper out, read it, and then either sign it, copy it, fax it off to someone else, have them sign it, fax it back, Then now you've got your official version. You slide it back into the file folder. Blah, blah, blah. You give it to the paper, guy who's running through there collecting all your files and folders, so he can take it to the archives, index it, toss it away into a giant warehouse that everyone hopes doesn't catch on fire, and thread all the documents that you now need deleted. Right? That was a very manual process, manual work within an office building, and computers came in to say, hey, you can do all of that now extremely fast. You can have your documents, email, right? All of those work processes, technology has completely revolutionized. But I make a bit of a statement that wasn't really automation. Instead, that was just digitization, which I don't know if those of you listening here have experienced those digitization efforts at your orgs where everything was done quite old school, and then now you have to digitize everything and get it all into Salesforce. I think is maybe the experience a lot of us had, getting those sales processes moved up into there. But even that in like point of sale environments, right? Digitizing things, moving away from cash registers and offline, cash registers and cashiers, and moving to integrated tools with tap to pay. It's still the manual work being done. You're still opening a file in a folder that's sitting inside of a directory that's inside of a warehouse. It's just digital now. That warehouse is your file share on the cloud or in your local network. So we're still doing manual work, but we're just doing it faster because we have technology that lets us do that. I like to make the point that automation from a mind space, a headspace perspective, the seamless IT that we're trying to achieve, demands that you think about how people do things differently in the way of how do we just eliminate the process altogether? How do we take the thing that people are doing manually and just not do it anymore? One of my favorite examples of that is that of like your grocery store experience. You walk into the store, grab the items, you then wait in line to a cashier, you exchange the money for the objects that you put in your cart, say goodbye, get your change, and you leave. We've digitized that process over the years where now it's self-service, computer that you're interacting with. You scan the items yourself. You're doing the work now. You scan the items yourself, but you're still then exchanging cash, or now a faster way of tapping to pay with your chip card or whatever. And, you're exchanging the monies, getting the change, walking out with your produce. That's still just digitization of the manual work. And then, Amazon has closed their stores, they announced recently, but still, from a mentality example, Amazon had their fresh stores where they use technology with image recognition and cameras and sensors to say, all right, person has grabbed toilet paper and milk off of those shelves, and now they just walked out of the store. I know based off of the app that they have on their phone and that they walked in through the front doors, who they are, what they grabbed, so I'm going to charge them for it. And right there, that entire manual process that we put so much effort into digitizing in point of sale has been eliminated with more modern tech integrations. And so take that mentality shift with you after all of this and sit down with your business, which is why I list lack of process and procedures for adaptability as another one of these roadblocks, is that we often look at problems as how people do things currently and then try to just digitize it so that it's done faster with a new tool. But then we are surprised that we're still putting so much time and effort in making this tool do the manual thing over and over again, when we might need to take a larger step back and view it as, hey, maybe we need to just not do it all together because we found a whole nother way to accomplish the same outcome, which really what I just said encompasses all of these points here. We have, those, someone is doing thing and they need it done really fast, quickly, because we have to close this deal. Well, let's just hack together a little Google sheet, use the URL to reference it in Zapier, and then now we have some sort of automated solution for dealing with this event registration, right? Or something like that. Now everyone is using that little solution to get something done, when you could readdress that entire process overall with the business by sitting down with them and having those longer term strategic discussions of, hey, there's some really cool things technology can do that changes the way that we work here, for the better. And that points directly at the lack of visibility, right? Knowing what your business outcomes are, knowing what your processes are, knowing every stakeholder that's involved in those things. And then, for those of us on the IT side, what needs to change technology wise, to adapt to the new process and procedures of, we're removing all of our point of sale terminals and we're moving to, camera recognition. What does that mean, and how we have to implement all of it? Leading us to where we're at currently with a lot of these unintegrated tools, these unintegrated systems. The cameras currently installed in the store are there for security and insurance purposes, not for product, and customer recognition and integration, right? So unintegrated tools, legacy stuff, multiple different systems add into that complexity that makes things more difficult. And then I love throwing this one in as many times as I can, might even be shoehorned to the topic, but I think it's a roadblock that we miss a lot, which is our lack of ability of celebrating success. I think a lot of us in IT, we expect a lot from ourselves. Our customers expect a lot from us. Our businesses expect a lot from us. Like I talked about earlier, where the loading screen pops up on an app or a phone, we already start bashing it against something, wondering why it's so slow, or checking our signal strength and moaning and groaning about it. Not even taking that moment to give ourselves some gratitude of, man, the fact that I can watch a 4K video on my phone while I'm on a train, on 5G is just insane from where we were 5-6 years ago. And so celebrating those successes, I think, is something that IT doesn't do enough. Security doesn't do enough. Our leaders don't get to hear too often the things that we do and how it drives their business forwards, seeing IT as a strategic driver, which is why I think that mentality shift of how technology is implemented, is that technology is not a supporting tool. It's not a let's just digitize the way that we've always done things. Technology is revolutionary. Technology is innovative. Technology drives that adaptability and that speed. And by thinking about it more strategically, we can drive incredible outcomes to our orgs. So identifying what those outcomes are and celebrating when we achieve those things are some critical points to discuss. So how do we do all of this? Identify your audience, right? And their requirements, the priorities, the time zones is a call out to, like, how much availability do the people have to deal with IT things, right? How much tolerance is there? How can you work with them and their needs to then start implementing all of these technology changes that you're trying to bring? It's important to just sit that down and take that step back of, all right, what is the human element within our company? What is our culture like to it? How do we start building the groundwork for making these changes by driving up culture? Is your department known as the department of no? Is your department known as the fix-it people, the wizards behind the curtain that nobody understands? Try to define and understand who you are to the organization and who the organization is to you. I find a lot of that inner versus outer starts to sneak in a little bit for us. So start defining who the people are involved in your strategic approaches, not just the tech that's involved, but the people that's involved in all of it. And then that important call out, all on its own, processes and procedures. There are processes that people have not really defined, or it's defined in their head, and that's what makes them valuable, because they just know how to do things and they don't teach others. Sit down and learn, right? All of the processes and procedures in your org. Engage with those folks on the other side of things, and have those conversations from that let's change things perspective of, hey, you have this entire manual process here that we can just totally blow out the water with something really cool. And you get that partner buy-in on implementing and owning that new piece of tech, which points us to those tools, right? Where we want to use as few tools as possible that can solve as many of the problems. But sometimes that just means integrating things as much as we can, which has us now needing to be very selective in what tools we go with, and our testing time takes longer because we really have to make sure it works with everything that we have, which is, all within that strategic approach of automation at scale. And then adding in that last bit, right? Track and validate outcomes with those comprehensive reporting. All of these tools that you're shopping for, nag them about the reporting. That's something that's really big for us here. We are continuously improving our reporting and our data out of our tool, because we want to make sure that we are a part of that overall success story of bragging about how successful you are in implementing seamless IT and automation. All right, so diving more into the Automox platform and the Automox world, getting out of the headspace of general IT, running you through our architecture, right? We are a SaaS product. We are cloud native in that regard. We were built on the cloud. And by implementing us, all you need to do is install our agent, which is extremely lightweight to do. We can be deployed with a lot of your existing mobile device management tools or software deployment tools, or just a command line via terminal. So you can just run us on a simple install script within your environment. Our API, well documented, and we have a lot of people here that are passionate about integrating Automox. So let us know about your current tool stack when you talk with any of our sales folks, and they'll get you with their sales engineers. And we can really talk about how we can integrate with the rest of your tools. I'm totally working backwards on this, by the way. But the cross-platform part of our product is another big talking point, saving the best for last there. In that, I know this is big for a lot of our MSP folks and why they come to us, because we can be deployed without an MDM. We do not require that kind of enrollment. We are simple to install and simple to remove. If you have, those customers onboarding and offboarding as an MSP, or in your environment, you have a lot of devices coming on and off. The enrollment is super smooth, and it's for Linux, Mac, and Windows. So you get to manage your Windows servers, your Windows desktops, your Mac OS desktops and workstations, your Linux servers and workstations. And we support, I believe, the number 7 or 9. I'm going to be conservative and say 7 different flavors of Linux, as well as the older versions of those Linux flavors. So that allows us to be installed in quite a colorful range of environments for visibility and compliance. So we're a fantastic cross-platform solution in that regard. And then on that functionality side, we are slicing ourselves up into those 3 areas. But as you can do a free trial at any time with our product, definitely give us a run and let us know where you see us fitting in your world. A lot of folks come to us for the patching. That's what we started as a patching company. We got really good at it, where we have over 300. I think our number keeps growing every month of third-party applications that we patch, and that's unique third-party titles, not 20 versions of one app, and then we say we support 20. No, we have over 300 unique titles with their versions in there that we can patch. And then, of course, your operating system patching is within our platform as well for Windows, Mac, and Linux. We can do major version upgrades. That's a big question that comes across, as well as minor version upgrades for Windows. And then on the configure side, so this is the one I love the most. There's a term I'd like you to kind of jot down if you haven't heard it yet. It's called desired state configuration. Think of it as it says, where whatever your desired state is, and you configure it with a worklet and a policy in our console, we make sure that your devices are in that desired state. So you configure with our tool, and we provide that continuous compliance to that desired state. Right now, we can run that at a 4-hour cycle where our agent is just saying, hey, did this thing change and it's not the way I want it to be? Yes. All right. I'm going to make it the way I want it to be. Is it compliant? No. I'm going to fix it and make it compliant. So you can even have some of those environments where you got your overambitious help desk technicians with the admin password changing things. You can ensure with our tool that it will be set back to the way it should be within that update cycle. And then to that point, giving love to our help desk folks is that we do give you that control over the endpoints. We have remote control right within our console, so you get that mouse and keyboard access. And then we also have again, with a bit of our worklets, is that automated troubleshooting of saying, hey, I need to make a change on your device right here, right now. We call it Fix Now within our product, where you can then fix it now, you can run it now, and you can execute that control over one device or many, all within that single click of a button. Already talked about this a bit, but kind of drilling it down a little more, that multi-OS, right, where if you take a look within our console, you see how easy it is to navigate. I'll walk you through it on our demo. We are all about automation at Automox. You can define the windows that you want us to take action in. You have your Patch Tuesday windows, or you have your maintenance windows negotiated with your business. We won't do anything unless it's within those defined windows. Or you can say, I want it all the time, anytime, and we'll do just that. So we can be flexible with you on when you apply the changes within your environment. That's the thoughtful automation part, is that we can do all the things within those specific time frames within scheduled policies. Worklets, yeah, what can't they do is the main call out. It's difficult to sell the world to all of y'all here, but I encourage you to get your folks on your team that understand PowerShell and Shell and Bash, because when they start to see what a worklet is and how you can evaluate anything in your environment and then take action off of that evaluation, we have some power users that have done some magical things with worklets that have really impressed us. I think we're kind of dumb giving out worklets for free like we do. Our catalog, I think, has over 400 things that we've built, and we have a dedicated team that is building new automations every week, and they're rolling them out, and they are feature rich and supported by our team as well. So if you have any questions about how we can automate things for you and how we can configure things within your environment, reach out to us in our community, talk to your sales engineers, because we have dedicated folks working on building these configurations and automations for you. And then remote control, talked about that one already. I'll do a brief view of that. Notifications, talking about engaging with your end users. We have an agent, right? You can make our agent be pretty chatty with your users, where they know when the updates are going to happen. They're notified of, hey, IT team has asked you to get this done by the end of the day, or by tomorrow, or by Friday. Please reboot now, or hey, heads up, we're going to be crushing Chrome and relaunching it to make sure that needs update button is gone. And so we do that communication for you on your behalf, so you don't have to do those all hands messages via email or Teams anymore. And then on the reporting side of things, talking about bragging, right? You can do pre-patch reports within our product to see the current state of your environment, and then post results to say, hey, all of these devices have now reached our desired state of compliance. You can monitor, within our console, as well as integrate us with your other monitoring tools to get alerts if anything happens to go out of scope for your policies. All right, let us switch over to the demo. I've been talking for a bit, see if my login's still valid. Nice. Go. Whew. All right, so jumping right into our dashboard, the first thing you'll see when you come on, we do have a guided experience to kind of push you through how you can deploy us and implement a policy. But once you're settled in, this is what a more fleshed out environment is going to look like, where you get these valuable metrics right off the hand. You can see right here, all right, this is the overall health of my environment, all the devices that need rebooting currently, any of the ones that have failed recent updates. You can drill into see why, in this case here, it's all right, this is a Linux server where policy is scheduled to run. So, okay, policy is not up to date yet because it's still scheduled to run because this device can only be updated within a certain window. And that doesn't happen to be this morning yet. So from here, you can understand, all right, I see, failed updates. It failed on the last run. It's scheduled to run again. Great. These ones need reboots. Awesome. I can click on this, take action, force the reboots, do what I need to do from there. Roll it down. You can see what updates are going to execute in the coming days based off of your schedules. You get a little overview of your device health. In our case, in our environment, right, we show this to demonstrate what these metrics might look like in the real world as things don't update, as well as critical patches that can come through. And this, I'll give you a walkthrough on another view on how you can do some automated vulnerability remediation. But for now, I want to show you our device page, how you can view all of your devices in your environment, take a look at a single device and all the details that you get out of that one device. And then I'll come back to this here, but bear this in mind on policies and worklets that you can run. I'll give you a brief view here of our worklet catalog. So in our worklet catalog, this is where we have all the good stuff. You can change your power settings on a particular system, where those power profiles that we all know exist. You can now identify what power profiles have been applied within your environment and then decide what you want to set them to. If you're intimidated by all of this code on screen here, the simple way to think about it is that a worklet will evaluate something within your environment, and depending if it's compliant, yes or no, it's then going to fix it within your environment. So in this case, we're evaluating to say what kind of power profiles are here. And in this case, we're checking to see if high performance is turned on. And if it is high performance, great, don't do anything. If it isn't set to high performance, well, then I want you to change it. And this is all the code that our team has written for you, where it's going to go and set it to what you need to set it to. So for you and your team, all you need to do is come in here and change this block from high performance to balanced or power saver, and that's it. You don't have to worry about the rest of what this worklet does. And of course, it's an Automox verified worklet. It's tested and supported. So any questions that you have about it, we're here to walk you through it. And with that example there, you can assign it to your devices via groups, via zones. In this case, I have my lab environment where I just have these simple worklets assigned here, where on this one, I can decide to turn on the Chrome update logs, where then I want to see what is really changing in my environment when it comes to the new version of Google Chrome. So I can say, all right, I want you to enable that setting on this one. So I'm going to say run, and this is going to run. And then if I'm a help desk person, or I've automated my help desk, and someone reports an issue with a Chrome, browser or a Chrome update, you can automatically run this collection worklet. Or if you're doing the more manual approach with your help desk support, you can pull up their device and say, yeah, I want to see what's going on with these Chrome logs, hit run on that. And then once it runs and executes, it's got device refreshing here. Once it runs and executes, you'll then see those Chrome update logs in our activity log, which is, again, a more seamless way of troubleshooting as opposed to remote controlling onto the device, clicking around in their files and folders and pulling up those log files. You're doing it all remotely on your own screen. That end user could be running off into a meeting or leaving their laptop behind as they go to lunch. And this is all just happening in the background. You're off doing other things, waiting for the results to come back from our product once they connect online. So that's the design intention here with Automox and what we enable you to do through the cloud and through our console with that seamless IT interaction with your end users. Let me see if our remote control will work. It's a little dodgy with my virtual machine being on my same computer. We'll give it a run. And to talk you through what's happening here, with our remote control agent, we deploy the remote control agent during this initializing phase, and then the remote control session occurs, and then we clean up after ourselves when it's done. We know this is a highly valuable behavior for a lot of our customers because they feel really nervous about remote control tools just sitting on there all the time. As a patching company and a vulnerability company, we see it a lot ourselves, where those tools get popped and everyone gets nervous. But in that, we've built that into our security controls here. Sorry, I can't show you the consent thing, but yeah, end users ask, hey, do you want to allow them to connect? Yes, I do. All right, cool. I'm going to go in and connect now. And wow, I actually filled up this entire hour, so I might have to kill this remote session so we get some time for Q&A. Yeah, I think my VM is being a little fussy with me, so I'm going to kill that. Sorry. Disconnect. The joys of live demos. Let me show you one last thing before I switch over to the Q&A part, because I want to make sure I get onto my very important topic of celebrating our reports. Within our report side of here, we have our pre-patch report, which a lot of customers get value from. I'll just do all groups, where from here you can see at a really high level what devices really need all the attention. You can export a PDF of this. And from all of these pre-patch reports, you can then prepare your environment. You can prepare whoever's responsible for these servers or those users with those devices, say, hey, we're going to hit you with something soon. And then once you run the patch, we have our policy results report, which lets you see, okay, these are the devices that accepted everything, done well. These are the ones that didn't. Let's find out what's going wrong with these ones that didn't. So you can take a look at the results and go from there. So really intuitive reporting that's in line with the workflow of patching and managing. And then I'll give a little teaser here because we have plenty of content elsewhere, is your ability to automate vulnerability response. So with our policies here, you can integrate us with services, like Rapid7. And once you integrate us with services like Rapid7 or your antivirus tool, they will feed the vulnerabilities into your console, where you can say, okay, I have these kind of critical vulns within our environment, and I want to apply the fix now. I want to apply the fix immediately. Because it's pulling in those vulnerabilities from your EDR, we then know the path to resolution, and we pre-run and pre-create the policy for you, and tell you what devices need that policy run on it. So you can see them all here and say, okay, I'm going to run that critical policy, run that critical patch, and execute it in our environment. So quick little blob on there. If you're a Rapid7 customer, definitely talk to your Rapid7 team, get us involved, because we'd love to demo more specific to your environment as you have those vulns there. All right, going to the Q&A. Okay, we've got a few here. Can you explain how vendor integrations and automation work hand in hand? Yeah. So that's kind of the Rapid7 integration, right? In that that's the vendor integration that we have set up. I think how a lot of people think of integrations is that it has to be DIY or custom. But in a lot of ways, those integrations are happening on the back end, especially in that of IT and security space, where there's some of those mutual benefit arrangements between organizations where, hey, we're a patching configuration tool, you're a vulnerability and asset discovery tool. We work really well together, so let's partner up and integrate. So definitely look at our integration logos with Automox. We work with a lot of folks in the tech industry to make sure that we can be a better part of your tech stack. And that's where we can enable you to bring that unified endpoint management to your environment by integrating with your Intune, your Azure environment, and the like. Um, as an IT manager yourself, yeah, what has been the biggest challenge of implementing automations? Yeah, biggest challenge is the people part. I think we all know that we're pretty good with the tech. Tech can frustrate us when it doesn't deliver on what it promises, but you can always cancel the contract and move on to the next thing and find a better tool because there's always more coming out there. But people stick around. There's a term I picked up called political capital is a thing at work where you have to earn trust, you have to earn confidence, and earn the favor of people within your business in order to get them to tolerate some of the things that you have to do as a part of your job. And so I think those soft skills is definitely the biggest challenge. That of an IT manager, joining Automox. I felt, night and day difference because the culture here was so different about patching. We were passionate about it from top to bottom. And so, yeah, very different mindset. Whereas previous org, I have Automox implemented there, but it's much harder to be successful, not because of the tools that I have, but because of the people that I have to work around. So that's where, we absolutely understand that here, and it's a challenging thing. So that's why so much of this presentation for me was talking about the mindset shift and the mentality shift of IT moving away from really becoming truly invisible, right? In that we need to be able to deliver those baseline expectations seamlessly and smoothly. So we eliminate those negative responses. And that's by doing automation, that's by implementing these kinds of tools. But it's all for that approach of talking and engaging with the business in new ways and applying more innovative solutions to really demonstrate how technology can revolutionize a business and not just be a cost center ultimately that you want to reduce. Is the perceived risk of automation worth the reward? Yeah, perceived risk. That's a big term. I think perceived risk can go a few different ways. Like maybe more towards the context of us being a patching tool. I'm just trying to read in between the lines of that question. Is like it's risky to auto deploy a patch, right? Because say the new version of Chrome has a 0-day in it, and then you automatically deployed it out into your org, right? That's a pretty scary thing, and that is a big problem with a lot of the patching tools out there. We know that, and we're no exclusion from that risk, except because we knew that, and we know that we're not an exclusion to being exposed to that risk. We're actually really proud to have Patch Safe as a feature of our product, where we're the only ones out there. So even your new Intune enterprise app management tool that auto deploys updates doesn't do this. They're actually pretty explicit in their documentation that they don't. Is that we will scan all of the packages against 53 major vuln scanning services. Virus Total is one that a lot of us know about. So we use the Virus Total service to scan every single package that comes through our product. So we do not distribute anything that has any known issue involved in it. And we are the only patch management solution that does that. So many others expect you to scan and validate your packages, upload the packages yourself, and then it's deployed. We do all of that work for you. So that's like another piece of that thoughtful automation that we've built into our product, where you no longer need your security and your sysadmin teams involved in the whole staging lab testing phase there, because we do all of it for you. We give you that confidence that this is a secure package that's going to be deployed. And ultimately, we just let you control when it goes out. And then rolling things back, always an option. If there does happen to be something, we have the routines in place of, all right, there's a problem. We have the engineers on staff, and we've done the motion multiple times of enabling our customers to respond to any of those things. So yeah, like I said, we've been a patching company for almost 9 years now. That's how we started. We've evolved since then, but it's in our blood, and we're really good at what we do there. And last one here, I'll squeeze in with the 2 minutes left. What are some of the biggest barriers you see as IT teams grapple when adopting automation? Yeah, kind of like this slide earlier, right? Don't know if you joined late on missing that one, but um, I think I said it before. I would point out the biggest barrier being that of people celebrating the success, right? Getting that political capital in. Um, getting them to celebrate with you, I think is an important key that point that I missed is that when you sit down and talk to them and say, I'm not the Department of No, and I'm not the weird magicians that just magically solve your problems. I'm a technologist and you're a salesperson or you're, an operations director. Like I can bring technology into your life that can change the way that you work for the better, and I can make you successful in what you're trying to do, and let's partner up and do that together. And you can implement technology solutions that they want to brag about alongside of you, which I think is that biggest barrier is doing that groundwork of making the friends, communicating with those business partners and those other departments, and send them Instagram reels of funny tech memes and show them some of the news feeds that you get of the cool new tech that's coming around, and start to kind of drive that change of culture to see if you can get people interested in what's coming around in tech. And obviously particularly AI, I think they are now flooding to us with a lot of those demands, so it's important to resist any of our old temptations. But that's our time. Thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate you all. Reach out to us over at our Automox community. We love to see you create accounts and post your questions in there. We have our whole org behind in that community channel, so definitely stop by and say hi.
All right, and finally, it is time for the Amazon gift card prize drawing, and the winner of that $250 Amazon gift card is Grace Wilson from Illinois. So congratulations to Grace Wilson. We'll be in touch to get you your card. And with that, on behalf of the Smart Brief team, I want to thank David for a great presentation and demo, and thanks to Automox for making this event possible. And thanks as always to all of you for attending and for your great questions. That's going to conclude today's event. Have a great rest of your day.